Hey everybody, Nick Hancock here. Hope you're all doing well. So, today's video, I am going to be talking about ultra marathon injuries. If you are training for ultras, here is the truth that no one tells you about getting injured. Picking up those niggles, it is frustrating. We all get them, but it is not the distance that breaks your body. It is the way that you train. And in today's video, I am going to be breaking down exactly how you can avoid some of those most common ultra injuries, and what I do to coach my runners to do when injury unfortunately inevitably hits, because this is ultramarathon training. It is a lot of mileage and it is an unavoidable thing to get injured, but there are things that we can do to make sure that we don't. So this is how you can run those 50Ks, those 100Ks, even 100 milers plus without wrecking your body or wrecking your life. So let's kick things off with prevention, because believe me, it's much easier to dodge an injury than claw your way back from one mid-season. Now, I coach runners generally over 30, certainly in their 40s, 50s and beyond, tackling ultras from 50K to 100 milers and multi-day events. And here's what I remind them all the time. It is not mileage that injures you. What does is things like unstable movement patterns, skipping meals and underfueling, ignoring proper recovery, such as sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night, and simply taking some time to relax. Injury is always multifactorial. It is never just one thing. Despite what your physio might tell you that you're running too much, or your podiatrists seem to hate runners because it ruins your feet, apparently. But it is not the mileage that does it. It is always multifactorial. So, section 1, how to prevent your ultramarathon injuries. Those weak spots, they aren't just annoying. Look, I get it, it is annoying. Oh, what's that now? Or why is my knee playing up? They aren't just annoying, they are important signals. Have you got tight hips? Your stride is probably begging for more mobility. Have you got an Achilles flare-up? That's usually things like perhaps sloppy ankle mechanics, ramping up vertical gain too quickly, or calf muscles that are simply not strong enough to deal with the mechanical load of running. Remember that 2 to 8 times your body weight goes through your lower limbs each time you land on the ground. And that's even more pronounced in ultramarathon training when you are doing downhill descents. So here is the expanded checklist for some prevention. So number 1 at the very, very top for me has got to be strength training. I always say weak things break. So prioritizing strength work is critical. If you have a strong body, you are much less likely to break. Number 2 is activate those running muscles with a proper warm-up before every run, especially your harder runs and your long runs. Things like dynamic drills, mini bands, for example. You can wrap them around your legs and activate those glutes. Mobility routines, these things should be staples in your training. Yes, they are not exciting. It's not the running stuff. It's the stuff that, I haven't got time to do that stuff. But it is the stuff that is going to make a bit of a difference for you. Next one, and this is massively high on the list as well, ensure proper recovery. Sleep is your number 1 recovery tool. Not your compression boots, not your massage gun, not the massage that you get done with your soft tissue therapist. Whilst all those things are absolutely fantastic and absolutely lovely, they are the types of things that are right at the very top of the pyramid. Your absolute basic needs are sleep. Absolutely a basic need, and it is your number 1 tool for recovery. You want to be aiming for consistent, high quality sleep of 7 to 9 hours every night. I know it's not always easy, but if you can aim for it and really try and work on it, that is going to be your biggest hammer when it comes to recovery. Very close to sleep is fueling and hydrating your body properly. If you are consistently under eating during your training blocks, during your long runs, I hear people all the time going, oh, I just run fasted until 3 hours. Why? Just because you can, it does not mean you should. Especially, I'll have to say it, especially for females. It is, even, and for males too, it's not exclusive to females, but it is one of the leading causes of injury is from underfueling. Going into relative energy deficiency in sports, so REDS syndrome is tantamount to injury, hormone depletion. It can cause you all kinds of issues like bone softening and tendon issues. So fueling has got to be important. It's not just about fueling the run itself, but it is about aiding your recovery before you even start the run. Recovery starts before the run. So go into your run fueled during the runs. If it's under an hour and it's easy, don't worry about it too much. As long as you have something to eat beforehand, no problem. But for things that are longer than 90 minutes, even an hour, start training with those gels, those chews, whatever food it is you decide you want to eat on your runs. Please do fuel on them and fuel beforehand, because that is super important. Next one is listen to your body. We hear it all the time. What does that actually mean? Well, I've already touched on it. If you've got something that feels a bit tight, like if your calves are feeling tight, that isn't just tightness and you can ignore it and try and run through it. That is your body telling you that it's not strong enough to deal with the work demand that you are putting it through. So get on your strength training, get those calves stronger, because that tightness can lead into injury. Also, if you're constantly feeling tired, that fatigue, yes, we need fatigue in our running training, but if it is chronic fatigue, you're feeling low, have a look at how much are you eating? Are you eating enough? Are you sleeping enough? Because all of these things, they do come back to that multifactorial nature of injury. That is going to end up being an injury if you are underfueling, not sleeping enough, not recovering enough, and you are feeling tight in places. So those are the keys to listen to your body. So section number 2, let's talk about some of those common ultra injuries and how they start. Let's dive deeper into this. So, some of the ones that I see most often and exactly why they occur are IT band syndrome. This is usually because your glutes aren't showing up for the work. And a lot of runners, particularly over 40, become quite quad dominant with limited lateral stability, which leads to painful friction on that outer knee. Targeted lateral strength exercises can significantly reduce your risk. Also, the mobility side, IT band syndrome, which is that pain down the outside of the leg, usually on the outside of the knee, that usually does come from either your glutes are not strong enough, or there's not enough mobility in the glutes. So you might need to go and get some soft tissue therapy done to help release them, but you can also do with your mobility and strengthening work too. So things like squats, single leg squats, single leg deadlifts, good mornings, things like that are going to really help with that kind of thing. Plantar fasciitis, the annoying, painful, stubborn, and it is typically due to things like those tight calves that I've already talked about, collapsed arches, poor tissue recovery. If you are waking up feeling like your feet, particularly in the ball of your heel, are on fire, then exercises for your calves and feet are going to help. So things like your heel raises, like particularly isometric ones, there might be, with careful application, some case for plyometric work. Even skipping can be quite helpful. But those dynamic drills that you perhaps want to do before your session to get warmed up for it, they also serve as a purpose in helping your tendons and the stretch shortening cycle in your tendons to get stronger and produce more of that elasticity. The next one, Achilles tendinopathy. I've been there, I'm not joking. In 2020, I actually put my Garmin on eBay because I genuinely thought my running career was over. But there is a way out of it. It's often caused by things like weak calves, overstriding, poor ankle mobility, aggressive increases in mileage, aggressive increases in elevation, things like especially that hill or fast trail sections. So addressing your running technique can be a really good thing to do. Gradually building up your strength and mobility in your ankles and calves is crucial. So again, just the same as plantar fasciitis, things like those heel raises, particularly heavy isometrics, can be absolutely fantastic for your calves. I do every day. In the shower, I usually do it because I'm in there showering anyway. I do heel raises. I will raise up on my tiptoes, usually on one leg, and I will hold it for at least a minute and then swap to the other side and hold for at least a minute. Really good way of keeping your calves nice and strong. And another one that I do see probably a little bit more often than not, or more often than is something I'm comfortable with seeing, not in the people I coach, it has happened, but stress fractures. Now this is the injury that nobody wants, and they are nearly always linked to inadequate nutrition and or sleep. I've talked about this before, especially common in older runners, female runners whose bone density does need that extra care. So making sure that you are eating enough, you're incorporating sufficient calcium, things like vitamin D. It's lovely weather at the moment, but in the winter, particularly in places like the UK, the northern hemisphere in general, anywhere kind of outside of the equator, we are talking about spending many hours a day of not getting enough sunlight. So vitamin D supplementation can be hugely beneficial to ensuring that your bones are healthy. Getting enough protein in your diet, particularly for us masters runners, you definitely want to be thinking about at least 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. And don't forget to avoid dramatic increases in mileage. And certainly don't run fasted. That is not just for the females, that is for the men too. So I have touched on some of these already, but let's go over some detailed recovery, almost formula that I use with some of my athletes when niggles and injuries do pop up. So first of all, there is always something that we can do. If you have a physio or something like that tell you that you should stop running to let your body heal, raise the alarm bells, because there is always almost something that we can do. So think pool running if you have the ability to do that. Elliptical, particularly in ultramarathon, elliptical transfers really well back into your running, because particularly if you're doing things like mountainous or very long ultramarathons where you are using poles, that elliptical, it transfers really well back into running. And where I have had to help an athlete to manage their way back into full running fitness, I almost inevitably, if they have access to an elliptical, that is the one I will go with, because it does translate so well back into running, so that when they do get back to running, there's almost no feeling of, oh God, this feels hard. Cycling is also a really great way. That is how I got out of my little pickle when I was in with my Achilles tendon. I got myself a turbo trainer, became a Zwifter, and so I massively advocate cycling, and I still cycle now to supplement the running training that I'm doing. If it doesn't cause you any issues, you can hike, but any of those things are going to maintain your aerobic fitness without stressing the injured tissues. For the most part, always check that with your physio, but for the most part, those are all fairly low impact ways of getting your fitness either back or to manage through that injured phase. Rebuild your strength base. Begin with things like single leg half raises, slowly controlled squats, single leg squats, single leg deadlifts. All that kind of stuff is going to be really helpful before jumping straight back into volume. You are going to need to earn back your mileage through strength first. Again, if you're working, and you should be working with a physio if you get injured. Alarm bells raised if they don't give you any kind of strength training. Even really basic stuff like using a band or doing body weight stuff can be a really good way of getting back out of injury. And and that is the basis of getting out of injury. If you don't have an injury rehab plan which involves some sort of resistance training, then you need one, and you want to be gradually layer back in those short controlled training segments following that rehab plan. Next up, you want to be monitoring your sleep and stress closely. Treat these as serious as training itself. It is part of training. Any kind of serious runner will be taking sleep as part of their training in a serious way, because poor sleep and stress management too can completely stall your recovery. You want to be tracking this daily to optimize your healing. Yes, the watch can be helpful. Don't pay too much attention to sleep scores. Ask yourself before you look at your watch in the morning, how did I sleep? Do I feel like I slept well enough? Then if the answer to that is yes, then you probably did. But definitely try and work on your sleep. So if injury does pop up, what I do with my athletes. So when one of my athletes gets injured, picks up a bit of a niggle, we move quickly but calmly. Instantly I will I'll get them on a check-in. We will make immediate adjustments to their training plan. For example, getting them on the elliptical will be, I even have a team physio within my coaching practice. We'll get them on a call with them. We'll look at their strength and conditioning plan. We'll do a bit of an audit of that. What mobility have we had them doing? Is that supporting their knees? And then we'll send them customized videos via Loom. We'll update that training in Training Peaks, and we openly discuss their lifestyle, because I'm telling you, I delve deep into things like stress, sleep, nutrition, what's going on with your job, what's going on with your kids. Because injuries, they're not failures. They are valuable insights into what is being overlooked. And that regular communication ensures that we are covering that recovery strategy. We are looking at why they might have got injured. Because it isn't, as I said in the beginning, it is not always about the mileage that you are doing. Injury is always multifactorial, and 99% of the time we delve deep into those factors, those life factors, like how you're sleeping, how you're eating, how is work at the moment, how's your relationship with your partner, because all of that is stressful. And stress is stress, training is stress, and too much of that altogether does inevitably lead to injury. So yeah, it's that regular communication that ensures that we adjust and evolve the recovery strategy and training strategy as needed. So there you go. Running ultras as you get older doesn't have to mean constant cycles of injury, but you must train smarter, prioritize recovery, quickly address issues when they arise. I help runners worldwide. I've got clients from Colorado and Vancouver right across to Abu Dhabi and everything in between. So yeah, I help runners worldwide achieve their ultramarathon goals without destroying their bodies or their sanity. So if you are ready for a tailored plan, a realistic plan that's going to suit you and your busy life and respects your aging body, because it is, click that coaching link below, and either me or one of my crack coaches that work with me can get you running farther, healthier and stronger ever before. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.